But there's just so many examples each of us face where we've had to make decisions, these life-altering decisions for ourselves or our family members without data. Really big decisions. And I think it should be different. We should have the data to say, what have other people done? What have the side effects? What have the outcomes been?
You're listening to What Fuels You, where we deep dive with CEOs, entrepreneurs, and business leaders to learn more about their stories and uncover nuggets of wisdom we can all use. I'm your host, Shauna Swerland, CEO of Fuel Talent, an award-winning recruiting firm based in Seattle. Today's guest on the What Fuels You podcast is Terry Myerson. Terry is CEO and co-founder of Truveta, a leader in EHR data and analytics, led by a growing health system collective that together provide more than 18% of all daily clinical care in the U.S. Truveta is trusted by more than 50 leading healthcare and life science customers to study safety and effectiveness, improve patient care, and train medical AI. Across these leading organizations, Truveta connects data, people, and ideas to pursue the mission of saving lives with data. Before starting Truveta, Terry spent 21 years at Microsoft, where he helped lead products like Windows, Xbox, and in the early days of Office 365. As executive vice president and a member of the senior leadership team, he helped shape Microsoft's strategy alongside Satya Nadella, known for building great teams, scaling complex platforms, and driving growth globally. Terry began his career as a founder, co-creating one of the internet's earliest startups, Intersay, which was acquired by Microsoft in 1997. He later advised both Madrona Venture Group and the Carlyle Group with a growing interest in the intersection of data, AI, healthcare, and life sciences. Terry is a graduate of Duke University and a current member of the Duke Engineering Board of Visitors. Welcome, Terry. So good to see you. So fun.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Okay, I'm hitting you with rapid fire. I'm curious, what's the first thing you do when you wake up?
I probably grab my phone.
Okay, good. I like you're keeping it real. I'm the same way. I know we're not supposed to do that. And are you coffee or what do you do for your jolt?
Oh, definitely coffee.
Yeah.
Definitely coffee.
What was your first concert?
Journey.
Oh, that's baller. Journey?
Jacksonville, Florida. It's my first concert I remember. And then the second concert was REM, just to date myself.
Well,
back in the
you're
80s.
Not dating yourself with me. Let's just hope one of our kids eventually, they'll be like, who's REM?
Yeah, I'm not going to know who REM is. Shiny Happy People, I think, was the album they had released. I think, I'm not entirely sure.
My kids are listening. They love old school music, love. So maybe your kids listen to more
That
than
means
you
Billy
realize.
Joel. That means Billy Joel. It doesn't mean like REM. Like old school, they get into Led Zeppelin and Billy Joel, all good stuff. But some of these great bands just get glossed over.
Yeah. I'm, by the way, watching the Billy Joel documentary right now. I highly recommend. You guys would like it if you're Billy Joel. I'm a huge Billy Joel fan. So,
I watched it. Yeah.
Okay, Mr. Triathlete, are you swimming, biking, or running as your favorite?
I went through a phase where I did all of them, but now I don't do any of them. I dabble in everything. I play a little golf. I bike a little. I run a little.
Yeah, but if you're doing a triathlon, what's the thing that you're like, oh, I got this. This is my thing. I can do this easier than the others.
Biking.
Yeah, I thought
that's it doesn't mean I'm out biking very often, but
yeah,
there was a phase. It was fun. That phase is over, and now I'm focused on Truveta. Truveta keeps me very, very busy.
Yeah, I can only imagine. What is a book that you think everyone should read?
The Berkshire Hathaway Annual Letters would be my recommendation, although it's not a book.
Well, I read that, and then I added that to my lists in my research. I was like, oh, that is a great thing to read. And then it got you interested in making a little mini stint at an investor. I like that. Got you pumped.
It definitely, I've been in business for many years, but I feel like I really, really learned about how things work at some more fundamental level, just listening to Warren Buffett talk about the leaders of his businesses and how his businesses work. And it was just incredibly helpful. And he makes it incredibly fun and humorous. It's great reading.
He's pretty impressive. And I have a guy that I know that he acquired their company, and they told me a story where he came to visit and his wife didn't know what to do to kind of host him. So she made him cookies. And then he was like, he like made a personal request the next time to get those cookies. Like he's a down home, super chill guy. Like I'm impressed by him and everything that he says. I'm like, yes and yes. So I love that. Is there an app on your phone that you can't live without?
The Truveta app.
Okay, good answer. No, but like your other answer.
You know, Spotify, Google Maps, Instagram.
Yeah, the good
Son.
ones.
I mean, I'm not, there's nothing super creative there, but Spotify gets used, Google Maps gets used, Outlook gets used.
Yeah. Outlook. Yeah. Unfortunately, a little too much right when we wake up. Is there a spot that you love to go to just unwind, either locally or kind of just in the world that you're like, this is my happy place. I can just relax.
I like the mountains. I like Hawaii. I don't go very often either one, but they're both wonderful in different ways.
Yeah. And is there something that you wish that you were good at that you've tried and you're like, this is just not my jam? I'm not good at this.
Athletic skills don't come super naturally to me. So being a little better at pickleball, a little better at golf, a little faster runner, all those things would be useful.
Now I'm wanting to play you in pickleball.
It's fun. It's a fun game. I mean,
I love it. Does Katie play?
she does. She loves it. It's like, I love it. She plays
It's
more
the
than
best.
me.
I know, but all of the orthopedic surgeons are saying like more people are coming in with pickleball injuries. And I always hurt the next day in my hips, but I want to play for hours. It's very addicting. So it's good.
Oh, I've had both of these done from skiing. It feels a lot safer than skiing.
Oh, definitely. Yes. So you talked about, did you say Jacksonville? Is that where you're from?
No, I grew up in outside Daytona Beach, Florida, which Jacksonville is like 45 minutes north. At least I recall it being 45 minutes north as a kid. I haven't driven it as an adult.
Is your whole family still there?
Unfortunately, I have no family still there. My dad passed away when I was young, and then my mom moved away.
And how old were you when your dad passed away?
15.
Oh my God. That's young. That's so young. Was that something that expected or surprise?
It was colon cancer.
Oh God.
And when you outlive your parents, it's a very interesting. When I got older than 49, I was like, ooh,
Yeah, I'm sure that's like probably. So do you have siblings?
I have a younger brother here in Seattle.
That's really fun that you guys get to be together.
It is nice to have, family local. I mean, it definitely, especially when the kids are younger, I think it's pretty special. I feel pretty lucky in that regard.
It's just nice to have family. It totally makes sense. So tell me about growing up there. I'm sure like having your dad pass away young informs so much. And then you see like sadly nowadays I have several friends who are widows and like have lost their spouses young. And there's so many things nowadays for kids to kind of give them the healing that they need and get through. But to have the success that you've had in spite of all that in those like formative years isn't, did you just like dive into schoolwork?
I imagine everyone manages these things in different ways, but I think I didn't focus on it. I just was busy with, and so, it's kind of a regret, but I was busy with friends and busy with life, and you lose. In hindsight, is quite traumatic, but in the moment, it was kind of more dramatic years later. You're making big life decisions, and
Yeah.
that you don't have that parent, but it becomes your reality, and you own it.
Yeah. Well, now that you're a dad, probably you experience it even more. Florida, I mean, I went to boarding school in Florida for 6 months and I was like, this is heavenly.
No, I mean, I enjoyed it. I had great friends. It's a small town. I mean, I don't recall the whole city. I think at the time was 50,000 people. The economy was tourism, the racetrack and spring breakers.
Yeah.
My dad was a doctor, taking care of people that had made bad decisions on spring break. But as a kid, it was great.
Yeah.
My childhood, you're defined by, I think, kids, the friends you're lucky enough to have and the experiences you have with those friends. And I was fortunate enough to go back and visit with some of those friends. Gosh, it was back in the September timeframe. Hadn't seen them in like 10 years. It was great.
It was a big reunion.
No, I had a business trip to Orlando. So I just traveled an hour east.
Yeah.
And said hi.
I love that you prioritize them. Would your friends from high school be surprised to see how successful you are, or were you just like that guy in high school? People have crazy stories, and I'm like, wait, I'm kind of like, see people and like you're the exact same Shauna as you were in high school.
No, I mean, that's what they basically, we went and played miniature golf, and this silly new miniature golf place where you drink beers while you play miniature golf. And it's like, it felt like it was 1988 again.
Yeah, all the same
The
dynamics come
same, the
back.
same hard, I was getting a hard time for the same things. And,
Yeah,
is this, and some of these things are more extreme now and have played out in more extreme ways. But,
totally.
there was a group of four of us that were inseparable in the 80s, and
That's so cool. And you're all still in touch.
we're not staying in frequent touch, but we are in touch.
Yeah. And you, how'd you choose to go to Duke? Was that, who put that stuff on your radar? Did you have somebody guiding you through that, or you were like kind of self-directed?
I was fortunate enough. I was a good student, so I had some choices. I remember I visited MIT, and it was very serious. And I was driving back down south, and we visited Duke after they'd won a basketball game. This is early Coach K.
Perfect timing. Yeah.
He hadn't won any national championships. I was fortunate to be at Duke when he won his first two, and it was just fun. It was just everyone was celebrating, and it's just like it just seemed so much fun. And then the hardest decision for me was I had good friends going to University of Florida, and do I follow them to University of Florida, or do I leave these good friends and go to Duke? And I went to Duke.
Yeah. And did you have a sense then? I mean, now we're thinking of this, right? As you've got I think your youngest is going to college. So you're about to be an empty nester. So it's like a different time, right? Where there's all these pressures. I wasn't really thinking about much back then. I mean, I was, but not like these kids today put this pressure. And so Duke was a perfect choice because it was like it's academic enough, but I still get to have fun and not be like bored and be a part of something with so much school spirit and cool stuff. But did you go there to study something in particular?
No, I started out pre-med. It was just hard. Organic chemistry was hard first semester freshman year. So then I was lost. Then I sort of made my way to mechanical engineering, sort of following in the footsteps of I had a grandfather that was kind of deep in the mechanical things. But then sometime, I think it was after my sophomore year, I sort of got exposed to these high-end computers, and it was too late to change majors. So I finished in mechanical engineering, but kind of computers became my trajectory.
Yeah.
So no, I was kind of wandering through the school. Engineering school was great. I majored in mechanical, but I didn't really use my mechanical engineering training for 30 years later, 25. Right. And even then, everything was kind of outdated. But
yeah, I mean, you're now like right in the thick of it, and we're going to talk about it when we talk about Truveta, like all the AI stuff and how you advise your kids or younger people. I mean, I've been in recruiting for 30 years, and now people are like, well, what's going to be? What are the jobs situation? And what are you telling your kids to study? Because all of these things are like, it's all just crazy now. It's like, everybody's like, you have to be a CS degree. And now it's like, well, is that even relevant anymore? Just where it all fits in. And I'm excited to hear your opinion on it. But tell me about, like, you're an early entrepreneur, which until I researched you, I didn't even know that. So you started a company, is it right out of college or in college?
No, I came out of school. I graduated a little early. I was doing scientific data visualization for a North Carolina research organization. I was then recruited to go to DC to be a sales engineer, and I got exposed to the internet pretty early. This would be like 1993. I tried to convince my company to build a website, and they wouldn't build a website. I had these great customers at the Naval Research Lab and National Institute of Health, and they were using the internet on all these government computers. And I'm like, my competitor that I was competing with built a website, and we didn't have one. And my company still didn't want to do it. So I'm like, I'm going to start a company and build websites. So yeah, early 1994 started this company out of just sort of frustration of my own company. And
who did you start it with, and how did you know what you were doing?
I didn't know what I was doing. I've now done this twice, and I would argue both times I really didn't know what I was doing. But there was a passion about it, unmet need, and started it with. I was a sales engineer at the time, and one of the great salespeople I was partnered with at the time, and a lady that was involved in marketing, back in California. Ed and I were in Virginia. Midori was in California, and we just sort of kicked it off.
Yeah, and so this was a web development company.
Started out that way, and then built some software to track what was going on with the websites we were building, and we transitioned to selling that software that sort of tracked how your website was doing, helped you personalize this is early days. This is 95, 96.
No, totally get it.
Helped you personalize your website, produce reports on who was visiting the website. And so by the time we joined Microsoft, we were 100% a software company.
Yeah. And why was it on Microsoft's radar? Like, how does that play into Microsoft at the time?
Microsoft put together a suite of products, and this suite was called Site Server. And the idea was going to be the web server. IIS was the platform, and this was going to be a set of applications around the platform. This became one of the tools they bundled into the Site Server suite. And Satya Nadella worked in that suite. A guy named Jeff Teeper, who leads Microsoft Teams, was working in that suite.
Microsoft's crazy town when you think about it. Like, I mean, it's literally, I mean, I left Seattle when all my friends were joining Microsoft. I graduated University of Washington, left, and I have friends who have been there since. I mean, and we're similar in age. It's been a long time. And it really like kind of sucks you in. Was there a contract that you signed that said, I'm going to stay for 2-3 years?
Microsoft acquired us with absolutely none of that.
You didn't have a buyout clause of like, hey, we got to stay here?
It was 100%. It was a stock for stocks transaction. So our Interstate shares transitioned to Microsoft shares, and they were liquid on day one.
God, that's a great deal.
Anthony Bay led the acquisition, and he must have just had confidence I was going to stay. I don't know.
That's kind of nuts. And did your colleagues that were at Interstate with you stay?
So Ed Hott, one of the founders, he did leave for a little while, but he's still at Microsoft now. He's still there. I think there are still a few other folks from Interstate still there as well.
How many employees did you have when you got acquired?
I say 30, but I don't remember the exact number. Like 30,
yeah.
It could have been 28, it could have been 32.
Yeah. And how old were you at the time?
24.
Oh my gosh. So you were expecting to maybe just stay and see how it was, and you ended up there 21 years. That's unbelievable.
I didn't have a plan, but I just made I loved the projects. I loved the people I was working with. Honestly, the resources to work on them was pretty special compared to, we could this completely cash self-funded startup we had done. It was actually refreshing to have a salary versus not have a salary.
Totally.
No, and then met Katie, got married, had kids. Then you're in Seattle.
And now you're in Seattle. Yeah. Do you like Seattle?
Love it.
You love it here. So I always think of people that are like from Florida. I mean, it's either this is like such a different vibe, different lifestyle completely. And sometimes people get stuck here and they're like, I thought I was staying for 2 years and here I am, but I'm trying to leave. Sounds like you're one of those who loves it. She's from here. Katie's from here.
Katie's from here, but I spent 15 years in Florida, or not less than that, because I moved there when I was third grade. So whatever. I mean, I spent junior high school in Florida, but I've been here since 97. And so this is by far the longest place I've ever lived. This is home.
Yeah. So when they're recruiting you to like, hey, we're going to acquire a company, come work here. Is there a whole like courting of the Seattle part of it? Or is it just like Microsoft wasn't Microsoft then, or it kind of was, but how was it explained to you and how was it different than what you expected?
I think one big change for now, it was not optional. We were expected all to move, and they did not hire our sales team or our sales or marketing team, which is kind of a bummer. So it was down to like, there was 15 of us that moved to maybe 20. I don't recall the exact numbers that moved to the Seattle area. Microsoft made that a very easy, comfortable move. We were young.
Totally. And open and just like very cool.
Okay, we'll move. I mean, sure.
Yeah. Was it weird for you to be like kind of your own boss to now being a part of a huge company?
Having to not have to worry about paying the bills felt like freedom.
Totally.
We never raised capital, so we were totally revenue to expenses, and that's a big constraint. And all of a sudden, wait a second, our job is to create innovation. Our job is to delight customers. This is wonderful.
Yeah, and all the resources surrounding you. So you worked across all sorts of different huge orgs: Exchange, Xbox, Surface, Windows. Was there a period of time that's like kind of your defining moment or the most intense or like a takeaway that you're like, those were the days?
Each set of days is special. I mean, my work in Exchange was just amazing. I love the people there. So many of the people I worked with are still there. I mean, Perry Clark and I are still good friends, work together. And I think he doesn't call what he works on Exchange. I think he calls it, I don't know what he calls it anyway. Fundamentally, what he's leading is an evolution of what we worked on in 2001 and 2008. That team's amazing.
Yeah.
From there, going to phone, that was kind of a defining moment. I think in many ways I've learned so much about platforms and operating systems, and that part of from the enterprise part of Microsoft to sort of the client or device part of Microsoft. And I learned a tremendous amount there. And we were right in the hot seat for so much of a pivotal point of Microsoft's history. And then, when Windows and Xbox and a few other things got added, it's like the scale of the team was a challenge, but incredible learning experience as well. I mean, it's a pretty diverse set of things to think about video games through military security.
It's like you're a little mini, entrepreneur. Like you had all these little entrepreneurial experiences within Microsoft.
Microsoft was great. I felt like I was so fortunate to be on the opportunity to learn so many different technologies and businesses and cultures.
Mm-hmm.
It was amazing.
You know how they talk about like Amazon, that you're going into an Amazon meeting on the leadership team, and or any meeting with Jeff Bezos, and you're like, Jeff ready or Bill ready, or I'm guessing there's Satya ready. Is there stuff that you've taken from working in that kind of construct that you are like, okay, this is how I like to run my meetings, this is how I want people to prepare, or that you've been trained on that you're like, now I use that?
I mean, I find it impressive when I read about Amazon's use of these 6-page memos, and because I do agree with this philosophy that writing is thinking, getting people to concisely write down, getting people to read it, think, and articulate their thoughts. It sounds very impressive to me. I've never worked in that culture, so I've never asked my teams to do it. But I do think these Google OKRs sound great, and these Amazon 6-pagers sound great. My time at Microsoft, we didn't do either one, and I don't know if they've adopted anything since then.
You did something right, so it's still working. It's all. And so, how would you describe that culture? And in such a big company, how do people find success? Like, how do you stand out in a company that's that big? What are the attributes that you're like, a Microsoft person that's successful is this?
There's a lot of complexity, and it's very fast moving. If you just love that opportunity just to be navigating, simplifying, the impact, I mean, you got to thrive in that sort of big impact and the responsibilities that come with that, the scrutiny that comes with it, the complexity of all the different segments and global, and, it's very fast moving.
Yeah. And were you working like all the time?
I've worked hard my whole career. I worked hard when I worked for the North Carolina Supercomputing Center. I worked hard when I was at Intersay. I worked hard at Microsoft. I work hard at Truveta. I think I've worked consistently hard across all of these things. People ask me, do I work harder at Truveta than Microsoft? No, I worked hard at both. I enjoy what I do.
So it doesn't, that whole like, love what you do and never work a day in your life. Like if you're engaged and you're getting energy from it, then it's not something that you're resenting or feeling like is consuming you. It's exciting. That totally makes sense. Okay. So then you decide to leave. Like it's not very common that people decide to leave after, you're comfortable, you're proven. How long was that process of kind of thinking, I want the next chapter, and what was driving that thinking?
I mean, Satya had a strategy to focus on the cloud, and the economic returns of focusing on the cloud were becoming increasingly clear. And I was leading a client group, which was not showing the same economic returns anymore or economic growth. And I supported Satya's strategy to really focus on the cloud. I supported his reorg of basically, the Windows and Devices group got divided into a couple pieces and resources reallocated. And the team's done a great job since I've left. My group was not the center of a corporate strategy. The strategy was, cloud and Office, and Windows was a piece of that Office strategy. And obviously Windows was a piece of the platform strategy. It made great sense. And so the role I had didn't wasn't on strategy. So it was,
Yeah.
and so I supported the reorg. I thought it was a really good strategic reorg that Satya wanted to do.
Yeah. And it sounds like you were given great advice. I read about that someone said to you that you're now time rich, which I love. I'm like, I'm not time rich, but when you get somebody that tells you that you're time rich after you've been working, nonstop, basically since you were a teenager, what did you want to do at that time? It's like an asset we can't get back, right? You didn't need the financial richness.
I didn't love having all this time. I was definitely bad at it. I did join the Madrona Venture Group and Carlyle Private Equity, and I learned what life as an investor was like. But I did, try and golf. I did, try and learn a musical instrument, all those things, but I wasn't good at it. The lack of a clear purpose, I was not as happy.
The Madrona thing and the Carlisle thing, when you joined those opportunities, were you thinking that was a kind of placeholder to kind of figure stuff out and try on the other side? Or was it like, this is going to be what I do? And then you're like, wait, this isn't enough. I want to operate.
When you're on the outside, venture capital sounds incredibly interesting. Private equity sounds incredibly exciting, and at least to me. And so I joined those great teams to kind of consider it. I mean, to consider, like, what could this be? Could this be my next purpose?
Yeah.
I learned it wasn't going to be my next purpose probably within a few months. But then I needed to find it. I needed to either get used to having a lot of time or find a new purpose.
Yeah. And so tell me, this is my favorite part of like hearing about companies is like the origin story. So did you have an idea and then you're like, who's going to help me? Or were you sitting around and where'd Truveta come from? And also the name, what does Truveta mean?
So Truveta means truth and knowledge, or Veta is knowledge in Swedish.
Oh,
It's the idea for Truveta actually originated within Providence Healthcare. Swedish healthcare is part of Providence. And so the chief marketing officer of Swedish at the time actually named Truveta. But a colleague of mine from Microsoft had become chief information officer of Providence. I actually stayed in touch with them lightly because through Madrona CIO events, I had become interested in the intersection of data and life sciences at Madrona. Pandemic happened. BJ and I got in touch through, while he was trying to manage the pandemic or manage Providence's response to the pandemic, because he knew I was interested in this space. He let me know of this idea of Truveta to kind of aggregate this data and find health insights to take care of patients. The pandemic became this sort of like brought to my attention how we don't have the data as a country to understand what's going on, understand what there wasn't time to run clinical trials to decide to understand if a drug worked for COVID. We didn't know who was actually being most impacted at COVID and why. We weren't able to assess treatments for how COVID was being impacted. So the need for it was obvious. Providence's leadership team had this idea, and that taking that idea into a company, it was just this magic moment. I feel like where Providence had this great idea, a lot of data, an idea.
yeah.
An idea is an essential ingredient. They also had data.
Sure.
They actually became the first, and today they're the largest investor in Truveta. The CEO of Providence, who's now retired, is actually the chairman of our board.
So is there a process when you're thinking about becoming co-founders with someone? I've never had a co-founder. And so is it like, hey, what are you good at? What am I good at? What do we want long-term? Almost like you're getting married and you're like, oh, do we want all the same things? And how do we work? What's our style? And do we have complementary skill sets? Did that all happen? Or was it just so organic that you're like, let's just go?
The conversations about Truveta started really quite early in March 2020.
Crazy timing.
And the co-founders of Truveta is kind of a broad statement because it was a group of health systems and health system leaders that came together with this mutual commitment to provide their data and capital with a group of employees that were willing to commit their lives and careers to be inspired by this moment in time to say, let's create a company with this unprecedented data, unprecedented, incredibly precious private data to try and do some good with it. But that, we're pretty weak on business plan. But I mean, because I was feeling things out and trying to understand what it would take to build it, what it would take to position it or launch it, what it would take to try and sell it. I mean, there was a broad set of people I was talking to through the spring and summer. By the time, Series A arrived, there was a group of people ready to go. I mean, I was genuinely excited by the potential of it. I still am today. I mean, the potential is enormous.
It's enormous. I mean, and it's literally disrupting and changing lives, and it's so purpose driven versus all these other, not all these other companies, but there's lots of companies that are just like, what are you doing? We're moving data from here to here. This is different. And you can actually impact disease and people's lives. But what's the business model? Like, how does Truveta make money?
You can think of it at two levels. I mean, the first level, data from care is de-identified and then made available to people that are looking for data to do research on public health or the drug or device that they sell in the market. And so, Pfizer was our first customer actually studying the safety of their vaccines during COVID. Boston Scientific is an amazing customer, just trying to understand the outcomes from all of their many incredible devices as they're implanted in our bodies. And, they use that to basically, continuously improve those products to help get regulatory approvals for their products being used in new ways. And, we then provide compensation back to our data providers on whenever their de-identified data is used by others. And so the CDC is now a huge customer of Truveta. We're very appreciative of the work the CDC does, to study public health. But I mean, this data has really never been available before.
So there's no competitors.
No, we have competitors in the sense that the need to study healthcare, it's being studied globally every day in a whole variety of ways, but it's being done with different things. And so what we need to do is establish the unique value or what's special about using these de-identified medical records. Health insurers have been selling medical claims for a long time. So, all the medical bills that we all have are de-identified and available everywhere in the market. But our medical records, really carefully de-identifying them and aggregating them at sufficient scale to see trends and patterns. I mean, we're definitely the largest source of these de-identified data sets. And, it's interesting, when we started the company, I didn't really know. I knew the country needed it to respond to the pandemic, but I didn't really know, what the use cases are.
Yeah, I was going to say the use case is endless. And so it's a little bit like, how do we not try to boil the ocean? Like that whole saying of like, be all things to all people, but like prove something.
And we were quite lucky. I mean, we announced the company, and the chief safety officer of Pfizer, this is like during the pandemic, before the vaccine was available for children, emailed info@truveta.com looking for a solution. And the joke we say in the company, which I think is partially true, is nobody was watching the mailbox because we didn't think anyone was we didn't know. But, Patrick Cobell, that he had the vision that this would uniquely support safety analytics. And, and then he reaches out and it's like, this is about the vaccine. And incredibly appreciative of Patrick's vision that, we had this vision of creating this data set, and he had this vision of it being used to help with the COVID vaccine rollout across the United States. And it's like, okay, we're here now.
Yeah. But usually those companies, those huge monster companies, are hard to get across the finish line to get anything kind of done. I guess it was just needed by everybody.
The contract took a long time. It took a long time, without a doubt. Because it's regulated data, it's regulated, and so we were kind of definitely it's the right analogy. It was great, but it was like, it's time to grow up right now. We're less than 1 year old, and it's time to grow up.
Yeah. You got to go right from we're going from diapers into driving. Let's go. Yeah. That's kind of crazy. And so what are you seeing on the platform right now that feels exciting, game changing?
I mean, what's incredibly exciting to me is the potential to use AI to democratize these insights. I mean, today, we sell this regulatory grade data, which incredibly sophisticated data scientists are using it to find these incredibly valuable insights. But just the potential to be able to express curiosity about what's going on in health in our country, that data should be at our fingertips. And it's exciting if we can deliver that. I mean, that's kind of I think it's just incredible potential.
It's huge potential. So, I mean, AI, obviously, I did 2 calls this morning about AI. It's like that's what's on everybody's mind. And it's moving at such a rapid pace, and people are having trouble keeping up with it. But the subjects keep coming up around kind of where AI, from an ethical standpoint, belongs, especially in healthcare.
I mean, I look at it as this incredible superpower that each of us have been offered, whether it be to write a press release or determine a medical diagnosis. But I don't think it changes the accountability. I mean, I think fundamentally ensuring it's great work and double checking it, I think that lies with the subject matter expert you've hired. If you hire a lawyer to do a legal brief, I think that lawyer should use AI, but they should not feel any less accountability. That's a great legal brief. I just think it should accelerate their work. If
100%.
a doctor does a diagnosis, I kind of want them to use AI because they can digest so much more complex data so much more quickly. But still, I want that doctor to still feel accountability that they're doing their best work in terms of getting the diagnosis. And so I think we got to find these frameworks, but this incredible tool that has digested all the world's knowledge and put it at our fingertips. I mean, it's a next generation Google. I don't know. I think we all should be using it in our jobs.
I completely agree. And then just the integrity of the data, like how you ensure that it's clean data.
Focusing on the data, its provenance, its integrity of the data. I mean, that's kind of our core business today. So we are a team that's we keep adding more and more discipline, and it's audited by multiple third parties from different angles to these data pipelines and the provenance. And there are companies using it to train models for regulatory grade trusted data to either train or evaluate a data set. I mean, that's something that we stand behind. And I know there's a lot of data out there. You don't know where it comes from. You don't know what they did to it to prepare it. And that exists. But, we stand behind the Truveta data as being regulatory grade and trusted, and all kinds of third-party audits to support that.
Tell me about the Truveta Genome Project.
During your care, we do not today collect your genetics. And that's because we don't really understand how we would use genetics to improve your care. And so we got kind of one of these chicken and egg problems, because I think we all believe that our health outcomes are a function of both our choices we make, the environment we live in, and our genetics. If we live in a place with bad air quality, that's going to impact our health. If we all eat junk food, that's going to impact our health, but our genetics are a function also, but we don't have genetics data at scale. So we partnered with our health systems and a life science firm named Regeneron to come up with a incentive system for this genetic data to work with patients, obtain their consent, but have this genetic data sequenced. And so society can learn how to use this data to detect diseases earlier, prevent them earlier. I mean, today your genetics are taken when you have a cancer treatment. When you have cancer, your tumor is sequenced. But outside of that, if you have a rare disease, sometimes if you're on a rare disease diagnostic odyssey, your genome may get sequenced. But really, for me, my genome's never been sequenced, ever.
How many samples do you have now?
Well, our goal is 10 million, and we're just getting started. So
I was really excited when I started reading about this. Also, because I was reading about like the impact it could have, not just on disease, but on like health equity across the board, like just all the different things that we don't even pay attention to. But if you can look at it from a perspective like, oh, we're seeing like buzzy things here that you're not aware are happening. And with this information, you can learn so much.
The potential to learn is just amazing. Pick your condition, Alzheimer's, a rare disease, cancer, heart disease. We should be able to detect that much earlier, understand how to prevent these things from onsetting much earlier. But to do that, we got to get to this root cause. We got to get to this multi-omic data inside each of our bodies and be able to correlate that to outcomes. And we have to collect the data.
Can I, as a consumer, just kind of say, yes, I want to do that? Here, I want to give this to you?
Soon you will be able to walk into Providence or Swedish and do that, or Virginia Mason here in Seattle, because they're part. Two of our members are Providence and Common Spirit. Swedish is part of Providence, and Virginia Mason is part of Common Spirit, and so
that's so cool.
Go to one of our member health systems, and next time your blood's getting drawn for a cholesterol test or
I'm doing one in September, so I can walk into like LabCorp and say, I want.
I hope so. We got a lot of
That's
work.
so cool.
We're working on it.
God, it's so cool. And so are there companies right now that are where you could say like, this specific disease is starting to get a little traction now, or is it too early to say?
Well, in terms of using Truveta genetic data, it's too early to say.
Too early to say,
There
yeah.
are there are many examples where genetics have been used in cancer, in particular,
Yeah.
different
Yeah.
types of cancer. But outside of cancer, I think it really is underutilized broadly.
Yeah. I'm curious, like, now I'm switching gears to my world, which is the recruiting world, culture, HR, all of this stuff. You've got a rock star, obviously, Deb Nielsen running people. I'm curious if, forget the fact that you're like well funded, great leadership team, and all this stuff. How many people want to work there because they resonate with the purpose part? Because I did see a big transition during COVID of people needing more meaning in their life and more like time felt different. And so companies where there is a purpose and kind of a mission have an easier time drawing in talent.
One of my co-founders, Jay Nanduri, he really talks quite eloquently about the purpose and what it meant to him in terms of, leaving Microsoft and, founding Truveta. And it's hard to say. I mean, that there's that talk, how, what, why, Simon Sinek talk on YouTube.
Yes.
It's a great talk. And I think it's true. I mean, I love the purpose of Truveta. I love it. I think it resonates with many people on the team. Unfortunately, everyone has sort of a family experience.
For sure.
You've been in the medical system and you choose a chemotherapy. You choose. You have no data. The doctor doesn't have any data. Doctor's got some anecdotal experience. Do you want to use this chemotherapy or this chemotherapy for the breast cancer that you're now facing? My knee surgery. Do you want to use a hamstring or a quadricep or a patella? You decide. You patient without data. I'm a doctor. I have no data. There's no data. There's no data. It's too extreme to say there's no data in healthcare because it's just not true. There's a lot of data in healthcare, but there's just so many examples each of us face where we've had to make decisions, these life-altering decisions for ourselves or our family members without data, and really big decisions. And I think it should be different. We should have the data to say, what have other people in my decision done? What have the side effects? What have the outcomes been? What if I do nothing?
It's so like, I mean, I got fuel talent, so I can't leave, but it's making me want to come like work with you because I never get seriously of like the energy that you get from thinking it makes you want to move fast and just go and have impact so quickly because you really like the whole saving lives with data. It's real. Like what you're saying is so true. And we've got aging parents now, and everyone I talk to is dealing with something. And to imagine that now you're in this position and you can make decisions based on gut information and like real, actual hard data is such an incredible tool.
I think it's in the near future. I think, when you take the capabilities of AI combined with the data we're now so fortunate to have, I think we'll be going to do some amazing things in the near future. Some really amazing things. But we got a lot of building still to do of team and product. So if you have candidates that want to join us.
Well, hopefully people listen and they, if they don't already know about Truveta, then they discover Truveta. How would you describe somebody who is successful there? Like what attributes do they have? Is there a common theme?
Feeling the passion for the mission is key, but we are builders. We're hands-on. I mean, we're trying to we're working in a regulated industry, working with precious data, a whole lot of data. And our customers are also mission-led. Our health systems are filled with people that are mission-led to serve their patients. And I think even at the life science firms, at Pfizer, they are mission-led to serve patients. And so being mission-led, science-led is really the key to, if you love science, you love data.
Yeah. How big is the company now? How many employees do you have? And what is the plan going into the back half of 2025?
I think we have 320 employees now. I don't know how many open headcount we have. I mean, 350, 370, maybe. I don't know, it's something like that, maybe the number.
Yeah. And so for you being at the beginning stages, this is your really second round of being a full-blown founder, CEO, entrepreneur. And the first company you sold, you said like 28, maybe 30 people. Is there a certain number where it's like, oh, I don't like that feeling. I don't know that person's name because that's hard as you grow and you're like, I still want to keep a stronghold on the culture?
The hardest thing, Shauna, is this remote culture. I mean, I'm at home today. Looks like you're at home today. I don't think size of company is the complexity right now. I think the cultural complexity comes from this hybrid workplace. I don't, Truveta's not, we've hired so many incredibly talented people in Michigan, in Virginia, in Colorado, in San Francisco, incredibly talented people. So we have an office, and we love bringing people back to the office periodically. But we got this workplace where so many of our great teammates are not here. And how do you build culture and passion and loyalty and intensity? I think that's the challenge, not size. I mean, at Microsoft, leading a 20,000 person team versus a 300 person team, you're still working with the same 25 people every day.
Yeah, but that creates, like, for me, that gives me angst because I'm not so structured, and then it comes down to process, and then process for me sometimes feels like bureaucracy, or like, you want to feel authentic, and how do you make the person that's 3 levels deep feel connected to your vision or your mission or your personality? Or I guess that I've just never been in that position. That seems challenging.
The right amount of process, the right amount of communications. People don't want to sit in 8-hour meetings all
Yeah.
day, and they don't want to
No.
fill out forms all day. You've got to have the right amount of process, but with no process should facilitate teamwork, and great communication should facilitate teamwork. And it's an art. It definitely is an art, and different times require different approaches, but it is an art.
It is. It definitely is. So you've got some perspective now. You've got your hands in a lot of different things, and Truveta's at the center of your world.
Truveta is an incredible purpose for me and my colleagues here. It's incredible, and we're all giving it our all. We've always focused on getting the most talented group of people we could together. And, it is interesting. Truveta right now is the most diverse company group I've ever been part of. At every step, we're just bringing on board the most talented teammates we can. And I feel quite fortunate and lucky about the talent, and the fact that they're diverse is fantastic also.
Yeah, totally. I'm curious, like, I would define you as very successful. We've talked about how I think that you're very humble. Is there a definition of what success looks like, or like, oh yes, we did it, we've arrived with Truveta?
There's no end. There's no end. I think about our team. I think about our customers. I think about our investors. And I think from the very beginning, we're not building this company to sell the company. We're building it because we think it can have this be a pillar of our society and be something that's so meaningful in the lives of everyone. And so that's what we're building towards. And so this is it's a little daunting because, we're 5 years in, and it's like, well, we're 5 years in, but 20 more to go. Or, you might say,
Yeah.
That's been our philosophy from the beginning. And so there's no end state for us, that's how I think about it. And obviously all kinds of things can happen along the way, but we're certainly building for this. We think the world needs Truveta, and we are building towards that future of trying to build an incredible new piece of our society.
Yeah. Well, you're doing it. I'm curious how your kids view what you're building. Like, do they have a sense? My kids are kind of like, yeah. They're in their own world. Like, do they understand the impact that dad is making on the world? And do you think about that as far as the influence that you're having on them?
I mean, I would say I love my kids. They each have their lives, and I want them to pursue their passions and interests. And that's what they're focused on. The fact that dad's working, good for him. I think they're all aware. And
Are any of them following in your footsteps as far as like tech or healthcare?
my oldest is a software developer, just moved to San Francisco.
Very cool.
And my middle son's focused on his soccer career. He's changing colleges.
Oh, that's cool.
My daughter goes off to college here in a few weeks. And so 8 empty nesters.
Yeah. And that's going to be an interesting moment. We're going to be temporary empty nesters. We've got our little one going to study abroad, and then she'll be back and finish high school. But yeah, it'll be an adjustment for sure. My final question for you, you kind of answered it earlier, but I think I'll know the answer, but like, what fuels you?
I love having a purpose, and I love going all in on that purpose with an incredible team. I just love it. I love seeing our customers enjoying what we've built for them, and I love our team having fun building it. And that cycle between the customers appreciating it and the team having fun building it. And it just really gives me energy. And I just feel very fortunate to be with Truveta and doing the best we can.
Thank you for listening to the What Fuels You podcast. If you'd like to check out past episodes to hear from more business leaders, go to fueltalent.com/podcast. And if you have a minute, please leave a review and rating on your favorite podcast app, or share this episode with a friend or colleague. Please share any feedback or interview suggestions for other guests by sending a message to podcast@fueltalent.com. I'm Shauna Swerland, and thanks again for listening.